Sir, nakamute ka po.
Okay, sorry. So I will try to draw this CH3, CH2, CH3. Okay? So pag meron kang mga hindi carbon at saka hydrogen, kailangan nyo pakita lahat. Especially yung nitrogen na attached sa hydrogen, pakita mo lahat, pati yung hydrogen. Okay? Yung pwede mo na itago, yung mga hydrogens na naka-attach sa carbon. Pero yung mga hydrogens na naka-attach sa nitrogen at saka oxygen, katulad kanina, kailangan nyo pakita. So, we can represent that. Ganyan. And H plus dito CH2 tapos CH3. So, wala kang pakita yung H. Okay? So, sometimes I can represent also kasi yung nitrogen mo, meron ka pang non-bonding pairs may bond pairs ka pa dyan, non-bonding or lone pairs. So, papakita ko rin yan. Okay, may 2 electrons ka dun. So, medyo pangit yung drawing, pero that's a representation of the line structures. Okay? So, yun. Kasi alam mo ito ay CH3, kasi yung dulong carbon, ito ay CH2, CH3. Nakaband sa nitrogen. Yung nitrogen mo attached to a hydrogen. Okay, nitrogen to at saka hydrogen baka pangit yung pagka-drawing. Okay. So, let's stop. Okay, so ito, dagdagan natin yung complication, no? So, meron tayong tinatawag na mga functional groups. Ito yung mga common groups that are attached to the that you can see in biomolecules and in organic compounds. So a functional group is an atom or a group of atoms within a molecule that shows a characteristic set of predictable physical and chemical properties. So functional groups are important because they undergo the same types of chemical reactions no matter in what organic molecule they are found. So for example, alcohol, di ba? So alcohol may OH, alam natin na polar sila. Most of them are polar because of the OH. Okay, so that's the functional group in alcohols. We call that the hydroxyl. So alcohol compounds have an OH functional group. So to a large measure, they determine the chemical and physical properties of a molecule. And they are the units by which we divide organic compounds into families. So, yung mga double bond na yan, example din yan, no? Yung alkene at saka alkyne. So, ano ba mga common na functional groups? So, hindi to complete, no? So, these are just one of the more common ones. So, yung alcohol na yan, OH group na yan, an example is ethanol. So, yung drinking alcohol natin, ininom natin, yan ay ethanol. Amine. Okay, so alam natin, methylamphetamine. Amine yun yung shabu. Methylamphetamine. So may amine. Ethylamine. So yung may amine, yan ay may NH2 group. So pag nasa solution yan, NH3+, kasi madadagdagan ka ng NH or N group. May ethyl ka, nakaka-attach yung NH2. You call it ethylamine.
Sorry.
Yes?
May gusto mag-join sa Zoom. Naka-on hold daw po.
Naka-record na ba to? Okay, naka-record na. Okay, so yan, alcohol is one of those groups. Ethanol, amine naman, NH2, you call it ethylamine. Yung aldehyde, Nasa dulo siya, makikita siya, double bond O, tapos may H. Okay, so yung dulo, meron kang carbon, may double bond with oxygen, and then yung hydrogen. Okay? Sometimes pinapakita yung high oxygen mo kasi double bonded siya. Meron pa yung bond pair. So 2 electrons. Itong OH mo, meron ka pang ayan, 2 bond pairs dyan. So kasi 1 bond sa hydrogen, 1 bond sa carbon. So may 2 lone pairs pala, sorry. Lone pairs ang tawag. Yung nitrogen mo may lone pair ka pa, minsan papakita yung electron. Yung oxygen mo dito kasi double bonded na siya. So papakita mo yung dalawang lone pairs. Okay? Okay, so yan, aldehyde. Yung common aldehyde na alam natin, yung nasa yung formalin. Formaldehyde yan. Formaldehyde, yan yung nagpe-preserve ng mga cadavers or mga organic, mga living fossil, mga organisms na gusto natin i-preserve yung body. Okay, ketone naman. Itong ketone na to, yung carbon mo double bonded sa oxygen, tapos in between 2 carbons. Okay? So take note, yung aldehyde nasa dulo siya kasi yung carbon mo double bonded with oxygen and then attached to hydrogen. Itong ketone, yung group na to, nasa gitna siya ng dalawang carbon. So a common ketone is the acetone. Ito yung nail polish remover. So pinag-usapan rin natin sa metabolism, 'di ba? Yung keto diet, no? Kasi gumagawa ka ng ketone bodies. So ito kasi yung ketone na 'yon galing dito sa group na to, C double bond O. So yung keto diet, pag-usapan natin 'yan in future lessons, okay? So we produce also ketone bodies. Carboxylic acid, C double bond O, OH. So anong difference niya sa aldehyde? C double bond O, tapos instead of hydrogen, meron kang OH. Okay, so dito sa carboxylic acid, pag natanggal mo yung hydrogen, bumabalik dito yung concept ng resonance. So yung double bond yan, palipat-lipat sa dalawang oxygen. So meron siyang stability, kaya acidic ang carboxylic acid kasi madaling matanggal yung hydrogen. So the common one is acetic acid. Yan yung nakikita na, yan yung nasa vinegar, acetic acid. Yung simplest one, formic acid, yan yung rason kung bakit masakit mangagat yung langgam, no? Meron siyang formic acid. In fact, yung name na formic acid, yung form na yun comes from the Latin name ant. So galing sa langgam yung name na yun. Okay? And then you have esters. So esters, ano ba yung group na to? So it's similar to ketone na sa gitna siya ng dalawang carbon. So instead of just the C double bond O, yung carbon mo naka-attach sa oxygen, tapos yung oxygen naka-attach sa isang carbon pa. So parang ketone siya, nasa gitna siya ng dalawang groups. So yan yung ester. Okay? Usually yung mga ester, yun yung mga mababangong, yung fragrance na mga sa galing sa flowers, no? So yan yung mga esters. So kita mo dito may CH3 ka, tapos nasa gitna si double bond OO, tapos CH2, CH3. So example niya ng ethyl acetate. Yung hindi ko alam kung naabutan nyo pa yung plastic balloon. Yung amoy ng plastic balloon yan, yung ethyl acetate. So may mga mababangong ester, most of the esters mababango. Pero syempre yung mababaho, yung amoy tae, may mga esters rin na mabaho. Okay? So hindi lahat ng ester mabango. Pero you have, for sure may amoy siya. So whether bad or good, yung esters, they have smell. And then you have amide. This one, anong pagkakaiba niya sa amine? Yung amine mo, carbon lang nakatouch sa NH2. Itong amide, may C double bond O nakatouch sa NH2. So example yan ay acetamide. Okay? So let's go one by one. So alcohol contains an OH group. So tawag yan hydroxyl. It is bonded to a tetrahedral carbon. Okay, so yan yung condensed structural formula. Yung alcohols can be classified as primary, secondary, or tertiary. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Yung carbon mo, naka-attach siya isang carbon, that's called the primary alcohol. Pag dalawang carbons, yung carbon na to, it's called the secondary alcohol. Tapos kung tatlo, it's a tertiary alcohol. So remember, yung carbon kung saan naka-attach yung OH, kung isang carbon, primary, dalawa, secondary, tatlo, tertiary. Okay, so ang assignment nyo will be to draw the you will draw the line structures of this. Okay? Line structures hindi nandito na yung sagot kasi for the structural formulas. So yung structural formulas nandiyan na. So for C3H8O, so alam mo tatlong carbons, tapos alam mo yung dulo ay OH. So i-separate mo na siya. So may OH ka na sa dulo, meron tatlong carbons, so the rest distribute mo lang yung hydrogens. So ito yung condensed structural formula. So your assignment is to draw yung line structures. Okay? Line structures of each. So alcohol, yung C3, sulat niyo yung C3H8O, tapos sulat niyo yung line structures. Okay, how about amine? So a compound containing an amino group. So yung amino acids, meron siyang amine. So yun, may NH2 ka. So yan yung mga condensed structures niya. So draw a condensed structural formula for the two primary amines. So when you say primary amines, may ano yan, parang alcohol, no? So pag sinabing primary amines, isang carbon naka-attach, tatlo. Okay? So possible nga yung quaternary, pero makaka-charge yung nitrogen. Pero yan, yun yung primary, secondary, tertiary. So pag sinabi mo dito, you have two primary amines with the molecular formula C3H9N, ibig sabihin nasa dulo yung NH2. So meron kang NH2 dyan. So again, draw the structural formula of this problem. Kasi otherwise you already have the answer here. So when you draw the condensed structural formula, so alam mo na tatlong carbons yan. So sulat mo lang yung tatlong carbons, 1, 2, 3. Tapos alam mo na sa dulo yung NH2. So the rest, lalagay mo yung hydrogens. Kasi two primary amines, pwede sa dulo at sa gitna, ito yung other possible structure niya. Okay, remember when you draw the line structure na nakatouch sa NH2, so drawing mo siya lahat NH2. Hindi pwedeng, hindi mo isulat lahat ng NH2. Okay, aldehydes and ketones. So each contains a C double bond O. So an aldehyde contains a carbonyl group bond attached to a hydrogen. So may C double bond O. Ang carbonyl group ay C double bond O. Tapos merong yung carbon nakatouch sa hydrogen. So yung formaldehyde mo, C double bond O, H, tapos may isa pang H. So ketone contains a carbonyl group bonded to 2 carbons. So nasa gitna siya. Okay, so draw the line structures. Yung assignment nyo will be to draw the line structures. So when you draw the condensed structural formula, so alam mo siyang merong 2 possible aldehydes. So C4H8O. So pwede yung aldehyde mo na sa dulo. Okay, so ang possible na structure is nasa dulo siya. Or yung isang yung CH2, the structural formula, yung CH2 na nandito, pwede mo i-touch sa middle carbon. So that's 2 structural isomers. So again, draw the structural formulas of each. Okay, carboxylic acid naman, meron kang C double bond O, tapos meron kang OH pa naka-attach dun sa same carbon. So yung condensed structural formula mo, no, you should represent yung kaya nga minsan nire-represent yung dalawang lone pairs ng oxygen. So ito yung ball structure niya, ball and stick representation. So the red represents oxygen, the white represents hydrogen, the black represents carbon. So yung formula niya, so this is an assignment, draw the line structure of the structural formula for the single carboxylic acid with the molecular formula C3H6O2. Okay, so yan, may sagot ka na. So yung carbon mo, tatlong carbons, tapos may OH ka sa dulo, tapos yung C double bond OO, C double bond OH. So meron kang C double bond OH sa dulo, so yan. Ay, sorry. Carboxylic acid pa tayo, yan. CH3, CH2, C double bond OOH. Any questions so far? May questions ba? Or buhay pa ba kayo? Hello?
None so far, sir.
Okay, so we have also esters. So yung esters mo, bridge siya sa dalawang carbons. So para siyang carboxylic acid, but instead of the H, meron ka pang carbon naka-attach doon. Okay? So it's a derivative of carboxylic acid in which the H of the carboxyl group is replaced by a carbon group. Okay? So yung C double bond O will be the bridge between the two groups. Okay, amide. So instead of yung carbonyl group mo, instead of the OH sa carboxylic acid, meron kang NH2. So para siyang amine na merong additional carboxyl group. Okay. So yun, may acetamide ka. Tapos kung yung methyl mo nakatouch dun sa nitrogen mo, you have N-methyl acetamide. Pero we won't go into the naming, no? Magtataka lang kayo, bakit NN yan, sir? Ano ibig sabihin? Ang ibig sabihin lang dyan, yung mga methyl groups mo nakatouch dun sa nitrogen, kaya yung NN, dimethyl formamide. But we won't go into the naming of these groups. Okay, so remember your assignment. So yung problem mo dyan, basta nakalagay yung problem, instead of draw a condensed structural formula, you will draw the line structures of each. Okay, so go through the PowerPoint and that will be our assignment. Okay, naulit ko yung aromatic compounds. Okay, kaya pa ba? Buhay pa ba tayo? Okay ba, tapos na tayo, no? Nasa hybridization tayo. Mukhang wala nang sumasagot. Mukhang overwhelmed na kayo. May nakikinig pa ba sa akin?
Yes.
Yes.
May questions so far?
Sir, bali for problems lang po ba yung assignment?
Anong problems ba yan? Isa-isa natin. May alcohol. So, line structure nung alcohol, amine, aldehyde, carboxylic acid. So, yun ang assignment. Okay? Any questions? So if there are no questions, no, yung discussion ng valence electron pair repulsion theory, I will discuss in detail sa lab to explain yung mga molecular geometry. Pero for those of you who will take up medicine in the future, no, I need to explain yung may jargon na hybridization. Okay? If you go to general chemistry, meron yung particular orbitals. Yung drawing natin na yung Lewis structures or yung complete structural formula, ito yung simplified version ng mga electrons, no? So instead of para ma-simplify natin yung paggawa ng structure, we represent electrons as a line or a dot dun sa outermost. Okay, so yun yung pinaka-simple. Using the Bohr model, yun yung pinakasimpleng way para makita yung bonding. Kaya yan ang ginagamit natin. Pero yun nga, due to quantum mechanics, mas naging complicated yung explanation ng mga orbitals, which I don't want to go into the details masyado, no. Pero if you remember your if you have general chemistry, you remember that there are different types of orbitals, you have different types of shape. So yung carbon mo, each electron has a specific address, no? So yung innermost, yung 1s2, hindi naman yan involved sa bonding. Okay, so you have 2 electrons dun sa drawing, you have 2 electrons na sa loob. And then the rest of the electrons are found outside. So you have 4 electrons na sa outermost. Okay? So if you remember your electronic configuration, may 2s2, 2p1, 2px, 2s2, 2p2 basically. Don't worry for those who are hindi to pinag-aralan, no? Hindi to kasama sa exam natin. Pero I just want to because some of you might go to higher chem or you go to medical school, pinag-uusapan yung hybridization at saka angles. So one way to explain these the angles of the molecules or the atoms in the structure is the valence shell electron pair repulsion theory, which I will discuss in the lab in detail. Pero meron ding isa pang explanation using this quantum mechanics. Another explanation is this hybridization of the orbitals. Okay, so para lang complete yung discussion ko, this won't be I won't include this in the exams, pero for the sake of those who go to higher chem, for those who go to medicine, explain ko lang na yung outermost electrons, yung s orbital mo, pwede mong ma-excite orbital. So this will basically the orbital will have the combination of S and P characteristics. So pag kinumbine mo yan, ang tawag dyan ay sp3 orbital. that are hybridized. So ang tawag dyan ay sp3. So pag ganyan, tetrahedral ang structure mo. Okay? So you have a tetrahedral structure if you have 4 electrons there. Okay? So the hybridization of orbitals is a combination of 2 or more atomic orbitals to form a new set of atomic orbitals. So they're the hybrid orbital, you call this hybridization. So yung mga alkanes natin, may sp3 or tetrahedral yung angles niya. So ang angle niya ay 109.5. So basically, each bond will occupy the corners of a pyramid. Kaya bent yung shape niya. Kaya medyo bali-bali yung drawing. Pag dinaw mo yung line structure, para siyang bent, no? Bent talaga siya. So sp3. Pag sp2 naman, so instead of a single bond, tapos each bond is occupies the corner of pyramid, meron kang sp2. Dito naman ay meron kang 120 or trigonal planar yung shape. Tapos sa sp naman, ito yung magiging linear. So yung triple bond na sa alkyne, yun ay example ng sp orbital. So sp3, mga alkanes, mga saturated hydrocarbons. sp2, mga alkenes, at saka yung nakita nyo kanina ng mga C double bond O, yan, mga sp2 yan. Tapos sp, yan yung mga alkynes. So triple bond yan. So the overlap of hybrid orbitals can form 2 types of bond depending on the geometry of the overlap. So you have the primary or the direct overlap called the sigma bonds. Tapos yung may mga parallel overlap, ang tawag dyan ay pi bonds. So yung nakita natin dun sa benzene na umiikot, yun yung pi bonds. Pi bonds na umiikot, lumilibot dun sa sigma bonds ng carbon sa benzene. So ito, katulad ng in-explain ko kanina, example nito ay yung sa methane. Okay? Each sp3 hybrid orbital has 2 lobes of unequal size. The sign of the wave function is positive in one lobe and negative in the other, and 0 at the nucleus. So this will form a tetrahedron. So the 4 sp3 hybrid orbitals are directed towards the corners of a regular tetrahedron. So isipin mo parang pyramid yan at an angle of 109.5. So example is methane. Okay, yung sp2 naman, you have the axis of 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals. I-record ko ba to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have the axis of the 3 sp2 hybrid orbitals that lie on a plane and are directed towards the corners of the equilateral triangle. So kung yung equilateral triangle yan, 120 degrees. So the unhybridized 2p orbitals lies perpendicular to the plane of the 3 hybrid orbitals. So flat lang yan, trigonal planar. So once may double bond ka, C double bond C, so 120 na yun. Okay? So example nito yung sa ethylene or ethene. Okay? Meron kang primary sigma bonds, tapos yung double bond yan, so yan yung pi bond mo. Tapos yung sa triple bond, example nito ay acetylene or ethine. So magkakaroon ka ng triple bond. So yan yung representation yan using this model. Okay? So again, this is complex. This won't be part of your exam or quizzes, but I want to discuss this para dun sa mga who will encounter this in the medical, yung mga take ng ano, di ba? Ano ba yung tawag sa mga medical yung mga medical schools? So yung mga exams na kailangan mo para mag-take dun sa medical schools, kasama to. Kaya in-involve para sinama ko to sa discussion. Pero this is complex na hindi naman siya crucial sa knowledge mo sa biochemistry kasi sapat na yung valence shell electron pair repulsion theory to explain everything. Okay? So again, I just discussed yung hybridization para lang dun sa mga magme-medicine, those who will take up the medical exam, who will take the medical exam para sa entry sa mga colleges kasi kailangan complete din. Okay? So in summary, yun nga, pag sa mga alkanes at saka mga saturated hydrocarbons, ang overlap niya sp3, sp3. So that's an example is ethane, and you have 4 sigma bonds. Since you have a tetrahedral structure, that's 109.5. So between the carbons is sp3, sp3. Syempre pag hydrogen, walang ibang orbital kundi 1s yan. So dun sa alkenes mo, once you have a double bond, so it's a combination between sp2, it's basically sp2. So ang angle niya is 120 degrees. So you have 3 sigma bonds and 1 pi bond dun sa structure mo. So yung carbon mo may 3 sigma bonds and 1 pi bond. So example nito ay ethylene. And then you have sp, hybridized. So ito yung mga alkynes. So you have a triple bond, 2 sigma bonds, and 2 pi bonds. Okay? Ayun, medyo information overload. Kaya pa ba?
Hindi na po.
Okay. Oh, yan. So, siguro marami na tayong na-discuss, no? Baka masyadong marami na hindi na ma-absorb yung ibang information. Pero natapos naman natin, again, yung hybridization, I know it's complex. Hindi ko naman i-include yan sa mga quizzes, pero yun, I just wanted to have a complete discussion on why the molecular geometry of these organic compounds are explained. Okay, so do you have any questions? Yes?
Excuse me po. Other than the PowerPoint itself, where else can we review this specific information?
Ano again? Sorry.
Other than the